Hey there theme park fans, Gio here for Independent Guide. So this video is one I've been wanting to make for quite a few months now, and it's taken a load of research, and I'm looking at what Walt Disney World and Universal Orlando resorts have added, removed, refurbished and expanded in the last 10 years. I focused on 4 major areas: attractions, hotels, lands and major additions. Disney and Universal are fierce rivals, as you know. They've got parks all over the world, but without a doubt their flagship destinations are the ones in Florida. So let's look at how these resorts have grown and changed in the past 10 years from 2012 to the end of 2021, and we'll decide who wins the battle of the theme park wars. Please remember to hit the like button if you appreciate all the research involved, and subscribe to the channel if you want more Disney and Universal theme park videos. So this video is in chronological order and we'll go year by year from 2012 to the end of this year 2021. I'm sure there'll be lots of things I've missed, so I apologize for that, and with a few exceptions I'm mainly choosing to ignore things like restaurants. I'll cover new openings, but things like changing menus or going from a buffet to a table service, that's not big enough to mention here. And the same with ride refurbs. If it's a minor change, it won't be getting a mention. So sit back, relax and enjoy this mini documentary's wild ride through Florida's 2 biggest theme park resorts in Theme Park Wars. So the year is 2012, and to understand why we're about to see this decade of incredible changes and growth in theme parks, we have to understand what is causing all of this. And the answer is 2 words: Harry Potter. Specifically the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. So in May 2007, 5 years earlier, Universal announced that they'd be opening what the press called a Harry Potter theme park. In reality, it was a new land being added to Islands of Adventure. Theme park and Harry Potter fans were blown away at how good it looked, and just 2 years later, Disney had announced its comeback. New Fantasyland with new rides, shows, meet and greets, restaurants and stores. In 2010, the Wizarding World of Harry Potter opened, and it changed the fate of theme parks forever. Guests no longer wanted just a new ride or two, they wanted whole themed immersive worlds. Hot on Universal's heels, Disney announced it would be opening a highly immersive Avatar themed area at Disney's Animal Kingdom, but they didn't release any real details. And so we fast forward to the start of 2012, and Universal now has a good idea of how successful adding a popular land could be. Visitors to Islands of Adventure stood at 5.3 million in 2008. In 2010, the Wizarding World of Harry Potter opened, and by 2011, the visitor numbers had grown almost 50% to 7.6 million. Now, Disney wasn't quite quaking in its boots, but it was rightfully concerned. Its own attendance at Magic Kingdom had increased, but only by 80,000 guests in the same 3-year period. Basically an anomaly. Disney needed to keep attracting guests, and so this is where our story begins. In 2012, the first phase of New Fantasyland saw lots of new additions to Magic Kingdom Park. The Barnstormer opened as a re-themed kids coaster, Fantasyland train station reopened, a new Casey Jr. Soak and Splash station debuted, and Dumbo doubled its capacity in a new double Dumbo setup with an interactive queue. Plus, Big Top Souvenirs opened, as well as new Pete's Silly Sideshow meet and greet area. The Storybook Circus half of New Fantasyland was complete, but Disney wasn't done yet, as it opened Fantasyland Forest 2 in 2012. Fantasyland Forest had a lot of the new additions. It included the reopening of Ariel's Grotto meet and greet, the addition of Under the Sea Journey of the Little Mermaid, an Omnimover attraction, the innovative interactive show and meet and greet hybrid Enchanted Tales with Belle, as well as Gaston's Tavern in Belle's Village, plus Be Our Guest restaurant became an instant fan favourite. Overall, New Fantasyland was a fantastic addition to the park. It fixed the issues of a part of the park that needed new life brought into it. Disney stepped into the world of interactive immersive queues, it solved the capacity problems at Dumbo all in one swoop. The new land was perfectly targeted at Disney's core market of families with younger kids. But was this going to be enough to keep up with Harry Potter down the road? Neither Universal nor Disney were waiting to find out. Disney kept working on phase 2 of the land, with Seven Dwarfs Mine Train mid-construction. Meanwhile, in 2012, Universal wanted to make it clear it too had kid-friendly attractions. It opened the simulator Despicable Me Minion Mayhem to replace Jimmy Neutron's Nicktoon Blast, it launched the kids-focused Universal Superstar Parade, and it completed the HD upgrade of The Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man. Whereas Universal upgraded one ride, rethemed another, and added a basic parade, Disney opened an entire new land, which we could call two lands to be honest. It refurbished or upgraded 4 attractions, it added a hugely popular new restaurant, it opened 3 brand new attractions, and so by far, Disney took the win in 2012, but the game would be stepped up a notch in 2013. In 2013, Disney continued its work on New Fantasyland. It opened the new Tangle-themed area, which admittedly are just restrooms, as well as the new air-conditioned Princess Fairy Tale Hall meet and greet attraction, which again solves capacity problems. And Disney also opened the new Disney Vacation Club expansion with the villas at Disney's Grand Floridian Resort and Spa. Meanwhile at Universal, things were really starting to pick up pace. Universal managed to build the screen-based Transformers attraction out of nowhere in just 12 months. Admittedly, it was a clone of a ride from Singapore and Hollywood, but the speed of construction was incredibly impressive. At the same time, a new Springfield land was built around the existing Simpsons attraction in just a matter of months, with new shops, lots of dining, and the Can Kodos Twirl and Hurl flat ride. Oh, and let's not forget the big one. Universal decided to ruin Disney's year even more by announcing that in 2014, it would be opening a second Harry Potter themed land around Diagon Alley. It would have a high-tech roller coaster, more shopping and dining, plus the Hogwarts Express, a never-before-seen combination of ride and transportation system from inside one theme park to another. Disney needed to make a big move and quickly if it wanted to keep up. There were no more details on the Avatar project announced over 2 years ago, no construction had started on it, and Disney fans were left wondering how Disney was allowing Universal to speed ahead as it ate its dust. Universal definitely won the war in 2013 and went from strength to strength. This was further bolstered as Comcast became the sole owner of NBC Universal this year, and it gained the confidence to make big investments. 2014 was about to change everything once again in one of the most exciting years in Florida's theme park history. 2014 was a year without surprises, but with fantastic openings at both resorts. Seven Dwarfs Mine Train opened, rounding out the completion of New Fantasyland, along with the addition of an interactive queue at Peter Pan's Flight. Studio Backlot Tour closed at Disney's Hollywood Studios, and finally construction actually began on Pandora World of Avatar. However, the real big additions came at Universal Studios Florida, with Diagon Alley's fire-breathing dragon, live shows, restaurants, Escape from Gringotts, Hogwarts Express, plus, not content to embarrass Disney with all that, it also opened its great value Cabana Bay Beach Resort as well. Somehow, Diagon Alley was even better than the first Wizarding World, and so 2014 was a slam dunk for Universal. 2015 was a quieter year at both resorts, at least in terms of new openings at the parks. Disney expanded the Polynesian Resort with new waterfront bungalows, it began a radical transformation of downtown Disney into Disney Springs, and it announced a new Toy Story Land for the aging Disney Hollywood Studios park. It blew fans away with the concept art as well for Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. Universal opened the Raptor Encounter meet and greet, but it announced its own big project. It was building its first water park, Volcano Bay. In terms of actual concrete changes though, the transformation of Disney Springs means that 2015 was Disney's year. 2016 was another quieter year for Disney as it finished construction at Disney Springs. It continued construction on Pandora World of Avatar, Toy Story Land, and Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, with the plan to open one new land for each of the next 3 years to keep guests coming back and to get some new visitors too. Universal meanwhile had a busier year in terms of openings. The Incredible Hulk coaster came out of a huge refurbishment, Skull Island Reign of Kong opened, and even a new resort was added in the form of Lowe's Sapphire Falls Resort. None of these were groundbreaking, but all were welcome additions to Universal, and so 2016 swings back to Universal as the winner. 2017 was a repeat of 2014, where both resorts fought incredibly hard to get visitors through the gates with new additions. At Magic Kingdom, Disney launched its new, and in my opinion, best ever nighttime spectacular, Happily Ever After, replacing the fan favorite Wishes. Pandora, World of Avatar, opened with its incredibly detailed landscaping, 2 new attractions including the excellent Flight of Passage, with a great queue, and the park's best quick service at Satuli Canteen. Disney took notes from Universal here. It had themed food items, immersive queues, and an all-encompassing land in Disney's first all-new land since the Wizarding World opened in 2010. Disney kept working elsewhere at the resort, so it continued transforming Hollywood Studios by closing down the Great Movie Ride to begin its transformation and announcing that Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway would be the replacement. It was the same fate for Disney Quest at Disney Springs, which closed to begin work transforming it into the NBA experience, and on the accommodation front, Disney's Wilderness Lodge was expanded with Copper Creek Villa and cabins. Over at Universal, this was actually one of the only years that the resort didn't get a new hotel. Instead, Race Through New York starring Jimmy Fallon replaced Twister as a minor attraction, and the next generation queue-less Volcano Bay water park opened to great fanfare. Universal wasn't quite done yet with Harry Potter though, as it closed down Dragon Challenge in the original Wizarding World, but didn't announce what would be replacing it. To 2017, it's a bit of a tough call. I would be equally happy spending a morning either in Pandora or at Volcano Bay, so I'm going to call it a draw between Universal and Disney, but I am a sucker for big fireworks shows, so Happily Ever After with its incredible score was a game changer for me. And the theme parks wars raged on into 2018. 2018 saw another new land open at Disney, this time at Disney's Hollywood Studios, with Toy Story Land bringing a new entrance to Toy Story Mania, a new kids-friendly roller coaster in Slinky Dog Dash, and a new flat ride called Alien Swirling Saucers. This was all a welcome addition to a park that was really lacking in attractions for younger family members. Meanwhile, Magic Kingdom saw the loss of Stitch's Great Escape, if we can really call that a loss. Universal also lost the show in the form of the 8th Voyage of Sinbad, which again I won't be missing. It also opened another new hotel with the super modern Universal's Aventura Hotel, got a much better nighttime spectacular called Universal's Orlando Cinematic Celebration, and Universal opened the Fast and Furious Supercharged ride, if we can call it a ride, which the less said about that the better. So even though Universal opened more things than Disney in 2018, Disney's Toy Story Land was higher quality than all of them put together. So for the last few years, we've gotten used to Universal being the ones opening multiple attractions and resorts in the same year, but 2019 was one for Disney's history books. Disney's biggest ever year in recent memory. Disney's Coronado Springs Resort got the new Gran Destino Tower, which feels like its own mini resort, as well as a new restaurant. NBA Experience opened in August at Disney Springs. Disney Skyliner was added as a new form of transportation between several of the resorts and Epcot and Disney's Hollywood Studios. Speaking of Epcot, the park got its own new temporary nighttime spectacular called Epcot Forever, which replaced Illumination's Reflections of Earth in September, and another new resort opened, Disney's Riviera Resort. But we're not done, because the big addition for 2019 was at Disney's Hollywood Studios with Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. Finally, a land that could match Universal's Wizarding Worlds in terms of immersive detail, themed food, merchandise, and of course, 2 major attractions. Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run opened first. This was already incredibly impressive for its interactivity and the queue line, but Star Wars Rise of the Resistance may just be the best dark ride in the world at the moment. It's truly a game changer for Disney, and the work that has gone into that ride has to be commended. Over at Universal Orlando, that resort was never going to be able to compete with Disney's year, but Universal did, of course, open a new resort hotel. This is Universal's Endless Summer Resort, Surfside Inn and Suites, as well as a great family-friendly Dragon Challenge replacement, Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure. As great as Hagrid's is, Star Wars Galaxy's Edge blows it out of the water, and without a doubt, Disney takes 2019. 2020 might have been the year that you-know-what shut down the parks for 4 months, but that doesn't mean that nothing new came to the 2 theme park resorts. In what feels like a century ago now, on the 4th of March 2020, Disney opened Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway at Disney's Hollywood Studios. I was honestly blown away by this. I had no expectations, or very little expectations, But this is a great, perfect, family-friendly ride. It's got fantastic technology, and it is one of the must-dos in the park now. Over at Universal, the second half of Universal's Endless Summer Resort opened. That was Dockside Inn and Suites, as well as the Bourne Stuntacular, which was an impressively quick return to live entertainment at Universal Studios Florida, as well as just being a very impressive show technologically. So for 2020, I think Runaway Railway steals it for Disney, so 2020 is Disney's year. And that brings us up to date to 2021. We still have 3 months to go until the end of the year, but there won't be any surprises now. We know what to expect. At Walt Disney World, NBA Experience was permanently closed at Disney Springs. Cirque du Soleil is expected to open its Drawn to Life show very soon. FastPass was permanently discontinued, and Disney Genie and Genie Plus are expected to launch any day now. In terms of other new experiences, Remy's Ratatouille Adventure is currently in previews and opens its doors officially on October 1st. Magic Kingdom and Epcot both also get new nighttime spectaculars on this date. And considering this is Walt Disney World's 50th anniversary, it is a disappointing lineup. Ratatouille won't be on your must-do list, I can assure you. Universal saw the DreamWorks Destination Dance Party open, which is a very minor attraction, and Blue Man Group closed its doors. However, Universal's one ride opening for this year basically blows all of Disney's 50th anniversary out of the water. It opened Jurassic Park Velocicoaster this past summer. This is a truly thrilling roller coaster, well themed, and hopefully the two nighttime shows at Disney can at least make up for everything else that is quite mediocre this year. So for now, despite this being Walt Disney World's 50th, Universal takes 2021. And so my concluding thoughts. Who won the decade of theme park wars? Before I started researching this video, I was 100% convinced that just off the top of my head, Universal hands down would have won this. Slam dunk. And whereas that was the case towards the start of the decade, from 2017 to 2019, Disney opened 3 whole new lands. It also kept adding individual attractions outside of that, so if we're going by sheer number of additions and scale, Disney wins, there's no question about it. If we're going to take into account how much less space and how much fewer parks Universal has, then Universal Orlando has done better for its size. So by numbers alone, Disney wins, but Universal is very close behind, which is incredibly impressive for a much smaller resort. And of course, the next 3 or 4 years look even more exciting. Magic Kingdom will soon be getting Tron, probably next year. Epcot is being entirely transformed and modernized with a new Future World area as well as the Guardians of the Galaxy ride. Universal has a whole new theme park opening and a second campus, maybe even some hotels with Epic Universe, and so these two companies will keep competing, which is just fantastic news for us as theme park fans. So what do you think? Who won the battle of the theme parks this last decade? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Leave a like if you enjoy this video. The more likes on a video, the more YouTube will recommend it to other theme park fans, and consider subscribing if you enjoy the video and you want more Disney and Universal theme park content in your feed every week. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Gio for Independent Guides, and I'll see you in the next video.